WADR, promoting dialogue. Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Hundreds of women protest against the killing of local farmers by suspected herdsmen in Nigeria's Benue state. Thousands rally in Cote d'Ivoire against Ouattara's fourth-term bid.
Alassane Ouattara's dominance, the use of security forces and all to undermine civic space has been very high, that the people are afraid to speak. But coming out now in large number to protest, it means that the people damn the consequence of whatever will come out from Alassane Ouattara.
Mali detains dozens of soldiers, including 2 generals, over alleged plot to undermine transitional government. And government of Chad celebrates 65 years of independence.
None of our announced goals can be achieved without peace, security, integrity, and unity. Politically, we continue to engage in dialogue with actors across the spectrum. Future.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
We are glad you have joined our broadcast this evening. We begin in Nigeria, where residents of the Yawata area of Benue State carried out roadblock in protest against the killing of 3 local farmers by suspected herdsmen. 3 others sustained gunshot wounds from the incident and are seeking medication at the local facility in the area. The attack occurred early Monday morning while the farmers were on their farms. The ongoing violence between herdsmen and farmers in Benue State has sparked national outrage and drawn global attention, with growing calls for an end to the bloodshed. WADR's Usma Umar has the details in this report.
Following the Monday morning attack, several women from the Yelwata community staged a protest alleging that soldiers failed to respond promptly to the assaults. They claimed only the police and local youth were left to defend the area against the dangerously armed herdsmen. Matthew Mnyam, a former government official, reported that he and several community leaders attempted to persuade the women to leave the federal highway linking Benue and Nasarawa states. However, the women refused to vacate the road, insisting that soldiers had abandoned their communities and failed in their duty to protect them. Meanwhile, Maurice Oro, chairman of Guma local government area, confirmed both the attack and the protest in Yelwata, urging all parties of goodwill to work together in the interest of peace. The ongoing conflict between herders and farmers in Benue State continues to escalate, raising deep concerns among residents. In June, a deadly overnight attack by suspected armed herdsmen in the Yelwata area left multiple residents dead and displaced more than 3,000 people. While government sources reported 59 fatalities, civil rights groups claimed the actual death toll was closer to 200. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Let's turn our attention to the Central Sahel region, precisely Mali, where the authorities have detained at least 45 soldiers amid allegations of an attempted plot to undermine the country's transitional leadership. Among those apprehended are 2 high-ranking generals, and security forces continuing rounding up suspects. Imo Edit completes the story.
A wave of arrests within the military has continued, with at least 2 more soldiers reportedly detained in the capital Bamako on Sunday. The arrests, which took place at the soldiers' homes, bring the total number of detained personnel to an estimated 45, though some reports suggest the figure may be slightly lower. Their whereabouts remain unknown, and family members say they have been unable to make contact. Additional arrests occurred overnight into Monday, with this time involving members of the National Guard, a branch of the armed forces closely linked to Defense Minister General Sadio Kamara. Despite growing scrutiny of the guard, Camara himself has not been affected. Among those detained are two high-ranking officers, General Abbas Dembele, formerly in charge of operations in northern Mali and later governor of Mopti, and Brigadier General Nema Sagara, a senior Air Force officer, one of the few women in Mali's top military ranks. While there has been no official statement from the military leadership, a senior officer close to the ruling junta said the arrests were due to an attempt to destabilize the transition, adding that military regulations are clear on such matters. The detentions have sparked mixed reactions. Some view them as necessary to protect the country's fragile political transition. Others fear they may be part of a broader effort to sideline influential or dissenting voices within the armed forces.
Imo edit.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Imo edit with that report just before this reminder. At the same time, Burkina Faso army neutralized more than 100 terrorists in the eastern region of the country. This was confirmed by the Burkina Information Agency. The agency says the army operation foiled a large-scale attack on the town of Kanchari during the weekend. Sankule Janko completes the story.
The Burkina Faso Information Agency, AIB, reported on Sunday that the army had foiled a new terrorist attack in the east of the country. According to the agency, the Burkina Armed Forces routed a group of fighters who were allegedly planning an assault on Kanchari. The operation, which AIB said was carried out by the 24th Rapid Intervention Brigade, reportedly resulted in the neutralization of about 100 terrorists. The agency added that the offensive took place against the backdrop of heightened security activity throughout July in several regions. According to AIB, attacks were also thwarted in Nangu in the east, Kombori in the Bokuldo Mohun, Jibo and Tapako in the Sahel and other areas in far west, including the southwest and Cascades regions. However, the agency did not give an overall casualty toll for the operations it announced.
Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Kabat's report, voiced by Sankule Janko. Meanwhile, in Niger, the army says it has rescued approximately 50 migrants who were stranded in the desert near the Libyan border earlier this week. The rescue operation was announced on Sunday. According to military sources, the group, which included 4 women, was traveling along the remote Madamadao Road en route to Libya, a common transit point for migrants attempting to reach Europe. Their journey was abruptly halted when the vehicle broke down, leaving them exposed to the harsh desert conditions for over 24 hours. An army patrol eventually discovered the group, many of whom were suffering from severe dehydration. The Nigerian army maintains that the migrants were transferred to the nearby town of Madama for further assistance. With the repeal of the country's anti-smuggling law in last 2023, concerns continue to grow over increase in migrant flows and the rising dangers faced in the desert region. From the Central Sahel, we head to Chad, a country celebrating its 65th Independence Day today. On the eve of the celebrations, President Mahamadou Debi Itno delivered a national address calling on citizens to uphold peace and unity against a backdrop of heightened security tensions in the country. His speech came just a day after his main political rival, Succès Masra, was sentenced to 20 years in prison and fined 1 billion CFA francs for spreading messages of a racist and xenophobic nature, a ruling that casts doubt on his political future. Christopher Atijo tells us more in this report.
Masra's conviction stems from intercommunal clashes in Mandakau on May 14 that left 42 people dead. Authorities accuse him of releasing audio messages deemed racist and xenophobic, allegedly inciting the violence. According to Dr. Everett Tode, a Chadian political analyst, the conviction appears aimed at sidelining Masra from politics in the absence of concrete evidence.
Many
Chadians believe that the justice system sought to eliminate a political opponent, given the absence of evidence. The judges, they say, missed a historic opportunity to uphold the law and spare the country renewed political tension end unnecessary instability.
Supplémentaire inutile.
The analyst adds that the opposition leader could still make a strong comeback.
Ce genre de condamnation, s'il ne renforce pas...
Such a conviction, even if it does not enhance the individual's reputation, could draw new sympathies to his political party. While a conviction can sideline a political opponent, it can also elevate his profile. In my view, a notable segment of national opinion shares this perspective.
Une certaine opinion au niveau national ici.
In his address, President Deby called for national unity and extended an olive branch to the opposition.
None
of our announced goals can be achieved without peace, security, integrity, and unity. Politically, we continue to engage in dialogue with actors across the spectrum, keeping our hand extended to compatriots willing to join us in building the framework for our shared future.
He also urged stronger action against corruption and announced a national development plan, Chad Connection 2030, with a funding roundtable set for Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates.
Christopher Aticho with that report. To some political matters in Cote d'Ivoire, thousands of people took to the streets of Yopougon last weekend at the call of the United Front, PPACR and PDCR. The peaceful march demanded the reinstatement of opposition members removed from the electoral roll and denounces President Alassane Ouattara's bid for a fourth term. Political analyst Jabiga Soro described the mobilization as unprecedented and said it could push authorities to meet the opposition's demands. Let's take a listen to Jabiga Soro.
Everything now hinges on the balance of power, and I can assure you that positions have shifted. Those who thought the opposition was finished are being forced to rethink. The opposition had requested to hold its event in the plateau, but it was refused. Instead, they were given a stretch of road from Saguidiba Junction to the Figayo area. The entire route was packed continuously, not intermittently, with a sea of people from one end to the other. If you know the distance, you will understand that this sent a strong signal to the government. If our demands are not met and dialogue is not opened, the situation could deteriorate. I believe that in the coming days, we may have good news. If not, on August 16, there will be another major rally where Laurent Gbagbo will address supporters, a move that could further drive home our message. The government now has no choice but to come down to earth and engage with opposition to resolve matters before we spiral back into violence. We all remember 2010-2011, and no Ivorian wants to go through that again.
Ivorian political analyst Jabiga Soro there speaking. Still in Cote d'Ivoire, the African People's Party, PPACR, led by former President Laurent Gbagbo, condemns the detention of two senior members. They include former Defense Minister Morsi Lida Kwasi and Ambassador Kone Boubacar, who were arrested on August 8 in connection with the August 1 violence in Yopougon. Party officials say the pair accused of instigating the arrest remain in custody on questionable legal conditions, while a third summoned official was released after questioning. The arrests follow the earliest detention of 6 party members after a bus was set ablaze in Yopougon. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Hundreds of women protest against the killing of local farmers by suspected herdsmen in Nigeria's Benue State. Thousands rally in Cote d'Ivoire against Ouattara's fourth-term bid. Mali detains dozens of soldiers, including 2 generals, over alleged plot to undermine transitional government. And the government of Chad celebrates 65 years of independence. We also have guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for being with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Elsewhere, a disturbing case in Monrovia, the Liberian capital, is raising concerns about child protection in the country. A 12-year-old girl alleges she was raped in June by a 28-year-old community member who she says recorded the assault and threatened to blackmail her if she spoke out. The case has triggered outrage among residents who are questioning local authorities' handling of rape cases. Many are calling on the Liberia National Police and the Ministry of Gender to act faster in protecting victims and delivering justice. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Ibrahim Parker reports.
The survivor says she first met the alleged perpetrator, Joyce Lindsay, to do a messenger friend request. She recounts being pulled into a room, assaulted and filmed. She claims the man later sent her the video and warned her not to tell anyone. Her sister, who spoke on condition of anonymity, says the family discovered the videos after a younger brother accessed the victim's phone. She criticized both the authorities and their mother, a church leader, suggesting that fear of public shame may have delayed action.
He already go to the police station and reported the case. So when he called me, my friend took me to call where I went. I told him, I said, carry her to the hospital so the police get you paper. I'll call of retention. You wait for me there, I come. But I noticed, can I explain? They went into the police station and the conversation are on the phone. It's different. Then what she told the people of retention is different. I want to ask her, she said, oh, Mama gave me. She was not even taking a one single letter.
Police spokesperson Cecilia Clark told WADR the Liberian National Police remain committed to securing justice for the victim and are actively pursuing the suspect who is reportedly at large.
It's very, very disturbing, and we'll do all we can. We'll start from there. I've already started and follow up. We are all tearing as mothers, but I can assure that we get to the bottom of this.
As Liberia continues to grapple with sexual violence, communities are urging stronger protections, faster investigations, and better support for survivors. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Now in Ghana, news of the tragic helicopter crash is still dominating the headlines. On Sunday, August 10, Ghanaians bade a solemn farewell to 3 of the 8 victims of the August 6 military helicopter crash. They included the late Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, and MP for Tamale Central, and Alhaji Laminu Munuru Mohammed, Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator. The Ghana Armed Forces reported that the Z-9 helicopter carrying 3 crew members and 5 passengers went off the radar shortly after departing Accra at 9 a.m. It was en route to Obuasi for an event to address illegal mining when it crashed in the Adansi Akrofom district. A search and rescue mission later confirmed that all on board had died. Nadia reports.
In line with Islamic tradition, Janaza prayers were performed at the forecourt of the State House in Accra, followed by burial at the military cemetery near Burma Camp. The ceremony drew President John Dramani Mahama, Vice President Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin, National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharbutu, bereaved families, government officials, MPs, the Muslim community and members of the public. President Mahama reflected on his relationship with the two and prayed for Allah to grant them Janatul Firdaus.
Murtala, I mentored from when he was a new MP at Nanton, and he had been a devout member of our team, one of our very bright intellectuals, very eloquent in Parliament, and he had been a part of our reset agenda. Muniru was like a younger brother.
An interdenominational state funeral for all crash victims will be held on Friday, August 15 at the Black Star Square. The government declared a 3-day national mourning period, beginning with a flower-laying ceremony and culminating on Saturday, August 9, with an evening of reflection and memorial service attended by ECOWAS Chairman and Sierra Leonean President Julius Madabio, NDC General Secretary Fififi Abikwete, said the tragedy must serve as a catalyst to intensify the fight against illegal mining.
What we can do in order to honor their memory is to ensure that this battle is waged until gold again become a true essence of this beautiful nation.
The crash claimed the lives of Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane Boama, Environment Minister Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Alhaji Muniru Mohammed Limuna, Samuel Abwaji, Samuel Sapong, and Air Force crew members, Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Anala, Flying Officer Menin Chum Ambafo, and Sergeant Ernest Ado Mensa. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
We take you back to Cote d'Ivoire, where political tensions are heating up ahead of the upcoming elections. During the weekend, thousands of demonstrators flooded the streets of Yopougon, answering the call of the United Opposition Front, PPACR and PDCR. The peaceful marches took place demanding the reinstatement of opposition figures removed from the electoral roll and strongly opposing President Ouattara's potential bid for a fourth term in office. To help us unpack the significance of this protest and what it means for Cote d'Ivoire's democracy, we are joined now by our guest, Austin Aigbe, liaison officer at the West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, WADIMAS.
So what you're seeing in Cote d'Ivoire is largely a resort to self-help by the citizens. As ECOWAS, we always say that the citizens need to respond before international community can come in. So the same thing that happened in Senegal when Macky Sall attempted a third term and eventually people arose and ECOWAS and other organizations, including the Council of Bishops, intervened. So in Cote d'Ivoire, it is more of a systemic challenge that I think President Alassane Ouattara has captured the entire fragment of the system, including the international organizations who are supposed to stand up for the Ivorian people. The exclusion of the former leaders, including Laurent Gbagbo, from the electoral process early this year had sent a strong signal that even Ouattara was not going to contest. In an attempt to return back to power, he has further shrinking the participation space, particularly the civic space. So what is happening today is the people's resistance, the people standing up against his fourth-term bid to power. And if you understand Cote d'Ivoire, particularly in the last 4 years, Alassane Ouattara's dominance, the use of security forces and all to undermine civic space has been very high, that the people are afraid to speak. But coming out now in large number to protest, it means that the people damn the consequence of whatever will come out from Alassane Ouattara. But my fear is that what happened in the previous election, where hundreds died over the same cause, may end up happening again. And this time, it may be worse off because I think that people no longer want Alassane Ouattara as president.
And that leads me to my next question, because the protesters are demanding the reinstatement of opposition members removed from the electoral roll. How significant is this issue in the lead up to the elections? And what are the potential consequences if it is not addressed?
It is very significant, very, very significant, because there's going to be mounted pressure. Pressure will be mounted more. There will be, Ouattara is going to send the police, the army to the street to crack them down. The same thing we saw in Senegal is going to ensure that the election go ahead and is going to be returned as elected president. And there may be more anarchy. And that is why I think it is very significant. And that is why I also think it's about this time that international community weighed in before more lives are lost again, as we lost them the last election. But I also think that it's time for opposition to rally around and be more united. If it disqualified Laurent Gbagbo and the former Swiss executive, rally around another individual, the same strategy that was done in Senegal, that even though the main leader was arrested, and I mean, he just switched over to fire because of the coordination and unity. So I think that the Ivorian people need to learn from what happened in Senegal. Senegal has become a model in democratic consolidation and democratic strengthening in West Africa particularly.
I mean, the protests also rejected, like you've already mentioned, President Ouattara's possible bid for a fourth term How does this align with Cote d'Ivoire's constitutional limits? And what precedents could this set for democratic governance in the country?
From a Ouattara's point of view, he's now going for a second term in office according to the constitution. But everybody knows that Ouattara is now going for a fourth term in office, having been in power in the last about 16 years. So now it doesn't seem like Ouattara want to step down. By the time, if he wins now, what is called a fourth term now, and he decides to change the constitution again and remove the term limit, he will again continue to run. The conversation is whether Alassane Ouattara has a moral ground to actually continue third term and now fourth term, whereas the constitution, by way of his elongation term, permits him to run for a second term, which automatically make it a fourth term. So the conversation should be among us as citizens of West Africa. Is Ouattara right to change the constitution and continue to elongate his tenure, or they should just allow him to run this second term, which is his fourth term, and then he will no longer run? But what is the guarantee?
Austin Aigbe is the liaison officer at the West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, Wadimus. Now let's bring you the latest happenings in the world of sports, and Christopher, our teacher, is right here in studio. Hello, Chris.
Augustine, good evening.
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me for the latest in the world of sports. Let's begin on the continent as the current Total Energy African Nations Championship CHAN Pamoja 2024 campaign is underway, and today's game featured two important games, as one is currently ongoing and the other was played early on, as South Africa actually began or gave in a fresh energy to their presence in the tournament by winning 2-1 over Guinea in Kampala in today's encounter. And currently the game underway is between Uganda and Niger. And Uganda, it's been some 63 minutes played so far into the game, and Uganda is leading that particular game 2-0 against Niger. But tomorrow Senegal is going to be in action, and Senegal is going to take on Congo. And according to the head coach Souleymane Diallo, he calls it as a trap, as the Senegal is the defending champion of CHAN at the moment, and he sees it as an opportunity or a momentum of safeguarding their crown and making sure that their journey to Tanzania doesn't hit any unexpected roadblock. That ends it for sports.
Thank you, Chris. We'll keep following regarding this ongoing game and for tomorrow. Thanks so kindly. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Falilu So and Sheikh Njai, who assisted by Ismaila Kamara for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR English, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Curley. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Baga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.